Good morning, everyone. Thank you to Turnkey for inviting us today to present on Popdock. So today we're going to be talking about an eOne product called Popdock, which really extends the idea of Dynamics GP SmartList into the cloud. So we'll go through a Popdock overview, and then we'll get into a demo and show you how that all works. So first and foremost, I want to just go over what I call the 5 pillars of Popdock. First and foremost, Popdock is an end-user query tool. So what I mean by that is with Popdock, we are able to group, filter, and sort data in an easy cloud interface. So I can take data from multiple systems, including a system like Dynamics GP or Business Central, even non-Microsoft tools, bring all that data together, and then do whatever I need to do to get it into a format that's usable. So you can see here we've got all these different filters that we are able to use. And the idea there is that an end user can do this. You don't need to be a developer or an IT person to be able to do this. It's all in the hands of the power users who are in the systems all day long. And we'll show you a little bit of that in the demo as well. Second of all, Popdock is always real-time, and I think that's very important to note as we go through here today in the demo. You're going to see a lot of really powerful things, and there's no data warehouse needed behind that. So this is just an example of how you add a connector in a system like Popdock, and we can do that in a matter of a few minutes. So we're not needing to connect to some big data warehouse or a data cube to get at this information. There's no data architect needed for this. With Popdock, we are truly working with any data. So for GP users, it's always top of mind getting at your GP data. But oftentimes you're trying to combine that data in an Excel spreadsheet or another system, pulling it all together with CRM data, credit card processing data, marketing data. With Popdock, we have over 50 connectors built out today, and we also have REST API connection, Microsoft SQL Server connections, and web services. So we're able to truly work with any data out there. As long as the system allows us to get at that data, Popdock can consume it, combine it with other data, and then report that back to you. Now, the most exciting part of Popdock, in my opinion, is that we are able to put this data anywhere. And you'll see a little bit of this in the demo today. So you can see here, this is just a screenshot from our test systems. This is Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement or Sales. It's a customer relationship management system. I've got in here invoice data that's coming from an ERP system. This is Popdock embedded right in there. We're able to do this in Dynamics GP, so you can see right there, we've got CRM information that Popdock is displaying right inside GP, which is crucial for accountants so they don't have to be going into all kinds of different systems. We do this in non-Microsoft systems as well, like Salesforce and Zendesk, which is a help desk ticketing system, so we're able to put data in all of those systems. So it's putting it exactly where you need it and where you work all day long. One of our latest connectors is Microsoft Teams. You know, we're all using these collaboration systems a lot more these days, being that a lot of us are working remotely. So with a system like Popdock, we can embed data from GP or Business Central or a CRM system right inside Teams. So if you have a, accounting team or a finance team or an HR one, we can embed that data right there so it's easy and referenceable. And you can see on that highlighted line in purple right there, we've got some things that we can do. It might feel familiar to like a go-to in the SmartList Builder. Here we've got some choices, and that's because Popdock is actionable. So if you have the rights to, and the licensing and everything, you are able to take action from something in Popdock. So even though this data is coming from the GP system or an ERP system out there, you're able to do something with it. So if you have the rights to, you could open up the customer or open up the invoice and be able to do exactly what you need to do. And that's really important because users that aren't accounting users often do not know what they're looking for in an ERP system or where to find it. So with these actions, putting them exactly where they need to be in the system, it cuts out a lot of that confusion and a lot of question asking. So they're able to really easily self-service. So we're going to show you now how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and give presenter rights over to Chris Dew, who is our Popdock product manager, and he's going to show you this in action.
All right. Sounds good. So I'm gonna start by showing you where you could see this data in multiple different places. So I'm going to start inside of Dynamics GP today. You can see that Popdock is embedded in here, even though it is a cloud product. We have it embedded right inside of GP and have the same look and feel of GP. So I'll just pick a company, and again, as you can see, we have the capability of pulling data from multiple companies, right? This is just coming from my Fabricam, but if I also wanted to pull information from a second company, I can do that. And you'll see a really cool thing is it actually shows me which company that information is coming from. The beautiful part, right, this has the same look and feel of kind of those SmartLists we're used to, but it's smoking fast. That, I think, is a really big thing. Another thing that a lot of people really love is that if I wanted to do some drag and drop grouping, I could do that. I can do multiple levels. If I wanted to do state and city, I could, there we go. I can do that, and now I have multiple levels. If I pulled up Illinois, for example, now I can see all the people that might be in the Chicago right from there. So there's some really cool things. If we had a list that had some more numbers, so maybe like sales transactions or something like that, we could get subtotaling. It's automatically in there, which is kind of cool. And the beautiful part is I can switch between other lists, right? If I wanted to pull some inventory lists or what other lists that I have access to, I can quickly switch between those types of lists. So I'll just pick inventory purchase receipts, for example, and let me get rid of my grouping. And now you can see that we're pulling that type of information, and we have some of that subtotaling I was talking about. Now, I don't know if anybody has a sharp eye, but you can see this is where things start getting a little more interesting for the people in the GP space, is that you're no longer limited to just Dynamics GP data. We can now pull in stuff like Mary said, maybe from Dynamics 365 customer engagement, or how about a totally different system? I'm going to pull in help desk tickets from an external system. This one happens to be called Zendesk. So this is pretty cool because now I can connect to all the information I need, whether it be credit card information or shipping information or connections to other types of e-commerce systems or whatever it may be. I have access to see that inside of GP if that's where I spend my day. Now, I think a couple of important things to point out here is that Mary talked about this, but you have an unlimited amount of filters, right? So for our SmartList friends where you're tired of just the 4 filters that are inside of GP, you can just keep mashing on this button and have as many filters as you need, which is really cool. And there's some really flexible filters, basically any of the fields that you want that are coming from that list. Now, another really important thing, I think, is that it's one click away to add new columns, right? If I wanted to add 3 new columns like that, it's really fast and easy, and now I have those columns will appear on my list. So those are some things that are just, again, SmartList on steroids, or rocket fuel, I think I've heard somebody else say. You have all your favorites, right? So you can create favorites, you can share favorites across teams, a lot of really nice things like that. But what I'm going to show you, I'm going to shake it up just a little bit, because if I go into a customer record, I happen to have a number of Popdock lists attached to this customer. And you can do this much like Extender. You can do this, attach it to basically any GP window or third-party window that you need to. And so if we look at under additional, I have those same Zendesk tickets, right? Now I could have it filtered and basically only pull the ones for this one customer. Or if I wanted to actually look back at GP data, I have another view of all of the sales transactions for this one customer in one place, right? So this is only for our Adam Park customer. One really cool thing too is if I right click on it, you'll see all of those go-tos or actions is what we call them now, because we're not just limited to going back to GP stuff. We can actually drill back to external systems as well. But these are all those ones that you know and love inside of GP that you can do as well to drill back to them. Another one, just to get your thinker thinking, is that we can actually display data from other systems in different formats, right? So this is this is pulling a live piece of information from a CRM system, so Dynamics 365 in this case, but without leaving GP, I'm actually getting a live glimpse into some information on that account inside of there. Maybe, again, it could be some contact information, or again, in this case, I'm seeing the open opportunities that I have in that other system. This could be any number of things, right? This could be a credit rating, right? If we had a service that was, connecting and seeing what their credit rating might be, or maybe it's like I said, some e-commerce orders, or a live look into shipping information on a sales order. Is I want to hook into FedEx, UPS, USPS, DHL, those kinds of things, and I want to see a live look into where that's at. Popdock allows you to do that. So basically, Popdock brings you the data wherever you live. So let's jump outside of GP for a second, just so you know that we're not stuck in that world. We could flip it around, right? I could show you inside of Zendesk. This is for help desk agents now, right? Not necessarily accountants. I could have some of that same information, right? I could have my CRM information right inside of here. And so I could be pulling, again, live information from this record in CRM for the contact or the account or their open opportunities. I could be, again, if we go to flip over to CRM, I could have a live glimpse. Now, this is kind of interesting. Instead of doing an integration, right, we have a really great integration tool that allows you to move data between systems called Smart Connect. But sometimes you don't need to do that, right? There's a time where it may make sense just to give some visibility into that without running a potentially complex integration to move all of that data. And so in a matter of minutes, you could have something like this that gives you the same look and feel of the system you're in, but now is pulling only the orders that are coming from Giordano's, and I can see that in the system. And again, you have all of that same type of stuff, right? Is if I want to add like the location for this, for example, I can add a field. It's now going and getting that data again. Those same kinds of things. If I want to do drag and drop grouping, now I have my subtotals by the different locations, so I can see those types of things inside of here. All the filtering in there, we can make favorites available, all of those fun things. So that's pretty cool. Now, additionally, we can even, you see this tracking number in here. If I click on this, we can have this little sidebar pop up, and you can see that tracking number looks like it was a UPS tracking number, apparently, and it was delivered to Copenhagen, Denmark. So this is pretty cool that you have a live look into, the origin of that package, where it started at. Wow, that one looks like that went on a trip. But you can see that whole history of that and see that it has been delivered successfully in this case. So some really cool things that you can actually have related information in there. Again, other types of systems, right? So this is back to that help desk system. And one of the things I haven't really talked about too much, but is those actions. I showed you inside of GP, but in this case, right, for a help desk system, I don't have the same types of things. So I may want to add a comment to this ticket. Even if I'm a salesperson, for example, I want to be able to maybe make a comment on this one saying, hey, please address this before we try to sell them, some more product. So we can do, those kinds of things, maybe change the status or priority of the ticket, and all those things are built right in, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to flip it up a little bit, because Popdock, while it's a lot about giving you the lists of data you need to do your job every day, sometimes it is nice to have just a little graphical element. And so we have probably about 10 charts today. And so again, this just is a quick breakdown of the product, all the products that we sell to our Giordano's customer. It's pulling live from our ERP system, and I can see that there's a breakdown. Looks like we sell an awful lot of cheese to the pizza company, which makes sense. So that's kind of a cool little way of looking at that. Again, we have a few more visualizations, right? This happens to be pulling from like a live SQL, like a custom SQL table. And so you can see this is their pizza orders. And again, it's very quick and easy to pull data from wherever we need to in that that regard. I'm going to show you one more outside of here, and then I'm going to dive into Popdock and kind of show you the guts of what you can do and how easy it is to customize what you see. So Mary mentioned teams earlier, and I think, again, in this climate that we're in right now, we are more and more, we are doing a virtual virtual type of sharing of information. And again, just even internally at eOne, we have really embraced teams a lot more in this past year, probably more than we had intended to, given the circumstances. But the beautiful part about this is whatever your teams or channels or whatever they may be, you can have related information, right? So if it happened to be project information coming from GP, I could have that. If it needed to be help desk tickets, right, I could have that information pulling right inside of here. And now, I don't know if you caught it, but it looks and feels like Teams now, right? It doesn't look and feel like GP or the CRM system I put it in earlier. It feels like it belongs to this system. Again, if I wanted to see those same ERP invoices inside of here, I'm able to do that and do all that filtering, and everything looks and feels like this. So this is pretty cool that wherever you work, we can present the data you need to do your job. So some of you may be asking, okay, how do I get at the data I need to do my job, right? I may have it in, we talked about GP, maybe Business Central or Dynamics CRM or Salesforce or other systems like that. But how do I connect to that information? Is this a development exercise? Is this something that I can do as an end user, or my partner can assist with? And so I'm going to show you really how easy it is to connect to a lot of these systems and how flexible it is to get the data you need to do your job. So what you're seeing right now, this is kind of the home page or the dashboard. Some people call it a dashboard. You can have some favorite lists that you may have. So again, maybe it's a quick chart of a breakdown of where your sales invoices are coming from, or maybe it's something you need to do today, right? I need to call all of the customers that have an outstanding balance and ask them, what's going on. Or again, I have a little list here talking about some training going on. Or again, these are some things that, like, even internally our CEO, right? We may give him some of these little things. They're based off of data, but it's maybe just a summary of that data, right? It's saying, I don't want to see that there was 100 orders that came in today. I want to see just the total amount of that. And again, maybe it's not today, maybe it's this week, maybe it's last week's sales, maybe it's this month or last month or this quarter, last quarter. We have a lot of those things built in so that you can very quickly, you could have 10 of these on this homepage and have a quick glance, seeing where you stand from this year to last year and those kinds of things. Or again, you can summarize the stuff. So like our help desk example, you can see that I have the number of normal tickets versus high and urgent. And this is something maybe as a manager you might go, okay, wow, we have 12 high and urgent tickets. I need to go talk to the professional services manager and make sure that those are getting addressed, so that we take care of those. So again, whatever you need, the data you need to do your job, we can give you kind of a one place to do it, even if it's coming from multiple systems. So I'm just going to show you one thing inside of here. If I click on this tab, right, this one happens to be pointing to some GP data. You're seeing that same type of information we showed in other systems inside of here. But I think one really cool thing is that it has the same look and feel. It's just in our web interface. And again, all the favorites are there, even though it's not inside of GP. It's stuff that we can share amongst other people. One kind of cool thing I have over here is I have a little piece, I guess, inside of here that we're taking basically the address in here, and we are mapping it back to like a Google Maps. And so I now have, again, I'll click on this one, for example, and now it's pulling that information. As you can see, we're getting a live look from Google Maps in this case. So again, extra related information, but it can be useful for me to do my job. So let's talk about how easy it is to customize the information that we see inside of here, right? Again, there's a ton of lists. Here's a bunch of stuff under sales, but again, if we went to any one of these other areas, or again, even a different connector, right? If we went to, let's see, I have a number of other connectors here. I'll just pick the Zendesk one. But if we looked at like the Zendesk one, we could pull not only ticket information, but we can also pull some information from maybe the contacts or the companies or organizations that are in there. So you can quickly move between those environments. So let's talk about how we can customize this information. If I go into the connectors section, you'll see I have entirely way too many inside of here. I have like 8 GP ones and a bunch of Business Central and Navs and Dynamic CRMs and Salesforces, all kinds of things like that. But if I wanted to add another one, you'll see, like Mary said, there's over 50 that are available today, and we're adding more all the time. Here's a bunch of your standard ones around, a lot of the Dynamics products that we have inside of there. But a couple of key ones to point out, right, as Mary said, is if we need to connect to those hybrid types of scenarios where we need to connect to a SQL server, maybe even on-premise or in Azure, we can connect to any of those custom applications or tables. And then the other really big one to point out is, again, while we have all these dedicated connectors, there's a whole lot of other ones that we don't have, but we've given you the capability of tapping into them. So as long as they have an API or a web service, we're able to, without necessarily needing to be a developer, you're able to connect to a couple of pieces of information from there and get the data that you need to, again, to all in one place to do your job. Instead of creating a new one though, why don't I just jump inside of, I'm going to go inside of a Dynamics GP one. A lot of what I'm showing you is very similar for like a Business Central, so we can do that as well, or Nav. But if we look at this, here you'll see there's a bunch of lists. So again, for a lot of these products we've talked about, we come with a default set of lists. It could be around the GP side of things. I think there's over 100 of them. I think on the Business Central side, it's maybe closer to around 80 that are available out of the box. The beautiful part about all those though, you're not limited to those. Again, on the Business Central, as long as there's a page or a query in the system, you can connect to that data from there. In GP, there's even some other options available for you, right? So if I hit add lists here, what you'll see is anything that has an extender, right? So if you use one of our products called Extender, you can pull in any of those windows or forms. If you've used SmartList Builder, which I think a lot of you on the GP side of things, it's a great thing, and it's still amazing tool that's really easy to use and gets you really nicely formatted data. You can use any of those smart lists, and we can pull those into Popdock. Or even, again, baby SmartList Builder from Microsoft. You can actually pull in anything that was built there. And then obviously we have the capability of pulling at the view or even at the table level if you need to pull in those pieces of information. So for me, that's really powerful that you can not just use the 100-some that we prepared for you, but you can really get at any piece of data that you need to publish. Now, this is where things get really interesting because you have the capability of adding custom lists. And what do I mean by that? Well, while I said we have 100 lists, maybe you don't like what we've given you. Maybe you want to join this the sales orders with maybe a third-party product that you have created a SmartList Builder list for. So now you want to join those two lists together to have one list. You can do that. But let's get real crazy here for a second. What if I want to join GP data with CRM data or Salesforce data or Pipedrive or whatever it may be, some other type of CRM data? You can do that. It doesn't matter if they're different types of connectors. Popdock basically is that query engine that will bring those together and give you one list with all the data you need. Now, you can do even comparisons between systems. A merge list, this is kind of interesting because you could actually pull, let's say you had sales orders from some site that had Shopify and some site that had Magento and some site that had WooCommerce. You can actually pull all of those in together into one list and again, map the fields, even though one called it an order ID and the other one called it just an ID and the other one called it, I don't know, sales order. You could actually map all those fields together and again, get one list that has unified information on that. So there's some really cool things with these custom lists, and again, you can grant access to whoever needs to see them. One other key thing is that you can do multiple company. I think I love this. We have one customer that has over 30 companies, and they need some lists that are really across all companies, and getting at that information is really time consuming and complex sometimes. So this is a great way for them to quickly click the box and say, I need information from these 10, or I need it from all 30 some of these companies, and give me that one report that I need to do my job every day. So those are some cool things inside of there, and how easy it is to really to show this data to the world. So let's talk about that. How do I show data outside of maybe even this web application, or how do I embed it inside of other types of systems? Well, we call those widgets. And I'm just going to create a brand new widget here. Basically, when we type a widget, there's a bunch of different types, right? It may be a single list. I showed you a number of those where we're only pulling data from a favorite, or again, one list. There might be other ones where I want to publish multiple lists. Maybe it's 3 lists from GP and 10 lists from CRM and 4 lists from a custom SQL table. Whatever it may be, we can choose those types of things, and then we can display it in different, like a card format, or again, maybe even kind of that sidebar that we talked about. So you have a lot of options on how you do it. I'll just pick a single list, for example. Again, you pick your connector. So if I was going to go back to our GP example, this is the connector I was using. Pick your company, pick your, again, where the group is. So if I was going to pick something on the purchasing side, for example, you can see all of the lists that I may have. And again, if I had any favorites, they would show up in here, and so I could publish just that list. Now, some really cool things about it, right? You can choose if you want to allow filtering on it, if you want to allow grouping, if you want to do all of these types of things. You have a lot of control over how you see that. And I think the beautiful part about this is that we can see, well, here, I'll just hit the preview button real quick, is that we can give you this data, whatever fields you want, whatever format. We can pick a theme, right? So if we wanted that GP theme inside of here, right, you can see now we have it so it looks like GP, and so when it's embedded inside of GP, it will have that really nice look and feel. And we give you everything you need inside of here to embed it in whatever system. Again, we have all the different themes that you may need, and it's pretty exciting to pop it in wherever you need to go. The last thing I'm going to show you inside of here, and then we'll wrap things up, but this is a pretty powerful feature for some people. There's times where it's great that we logged inside of this system. It's great that I could see the information inside of GP or a CRM system or some custom system, but there's times where you don't want to log in anywhere, right? What if I could actually just get on some kind of a schedule? What if I could get the data that I need, that critical information right on my desk every morning? And so if we look, for example, I'll just pick this first one here. If we look at customers over the credit limit, you see you pick whatever the connector is, whatever list. If there's a favorite, you pick where the email is going to, and then you say when you want this to run. So this one's set to run at 8 in the morning, right? Maybe you want something to run in the afternoon or whatever makes sense, but you could choose to run it every day. I could say, hey, I'm just going to run this on Mondays and Thursdays. Or again, I want to run this on the 1st of the month and the 15th of the month. So this is going to run twice a month and give me that report in my email. The beautiful part about it is that we don't send you if there's no data, right? So a lot of times people are using this for exceptions, saying, hey, only show me the customers that have over $10,000 outstanding balance. Well, if no customers meet that criteria, right? In this case, right, customers, and this is I have customers over a credit limit. If no customers would meet that criteria, then it would not send you a garbage email, right, with nothing in it. This is a beautiful part, I guess, is that you're only getting something if you need to take action on it. So that's one of the beautiful parts about this that I love. Okay, I think I've done a lot of talking. Mary, do you have a couple slides just to wrap things up?
I do, but we have a couple questions. Do
Oh,
you want to
question.
answer
Okay.
some questions here,
Yeah,
Chris?
that sounds good.
Yeah. So the first question we have is, how does security work with GP? Can you talk a little bit about how we do user security with Popdock and GP?
Yeah, so there's a couple different elements. It's really granular, I think is what's important to say. And so we have the capability of nailing it down to not only the GP connector, but specific lists inside of there. And even like you said, custom lists, you can say who gets access to which lists inside of there. So that's really important. I think one other thing to point out, though, is that because you're no longer limited to just Dynamics GP data, is that we have a slightly different security model because you now may be granting that same user access to a help desk system or a CRM system or something like that, right? You're able to see data from other areas. And so that's where it's really important that we allow you to pick not only by connector even, but even down to the list level saying, hey, this user gets access to this list, whereas this user may not. So that's just one interesting thing to keep in mind is that it's not just a GP world anymore, is you're now controlling access to all of the data that they get.
Okay. The next question we have is, I am migrating to Business Central. Can Popdock migrate my data for me? So that's kind of an interesting one.
Okay, well, it is, and I'll maybe tackle that a different way than the question was intended, but I talked about a little bit about those merge lists, and so this is kind of an interesting element because, and I'm going to quickly go into Business Central for example. So I'm gonna pull up Popdoc that I have embedded inside of the Business Central interface. I'll pull some data back here. And what you'll see is that while we have a ton of those same types of lists, right, and we have kind of in different categories, you'll see that I have maybe some scenarios. Again, I don't know if you said you were coming from GP or from like an older nav version or something like that, but what you could do is you could actually inside of Business Central, we could still hit the data if you weren't intending to bring 20, 30 years of transactions, if you didn't want to bring those into Business Central, which is, it's not always a small task, you can still get access to your users and let them see that information without leaving the Business Central interface, but Popdoc will bring that together. And even furthermore, we have a number of partners and customers that have been delivering solutions where they are pulling in the new sales transactions, for example, from Business Central and matching them back to either the historical transactions in a GP or a nav system or even some other types of scenarios we've heard. And so you can have one list that has a combination of both pieces of data. And again, if you don't want to move all that data, you can still have visibility into seeing it right from inside of that new Business Central interface.
All right. And then there's another question here about mobile capabilities, and I can answer that one. With Popdoc, you are able to see all your GP data in a web browser on any device. So yeah, we finally have a nicer answer than the GP web client, where you're able to see that GP data in a much more user-friendly interface from any browser on any device.
Yeah, and I'll just add one more part.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting very close to having an an application on both iOS and Android devices, so that you would actually be able to have a dedicated Popdoc app inside of there instead of just using the web interfaces we've given. So it's even getting better.
All right. And that looks like all the questions we got so far. So I'll just wrap it up here. Let's see.
Do I need to change presenter to you maybe?
I think so.
Okay, coming your way.
Thank you. All right, and always making sure that I'm sharing the correct screen here. Okay, so thanks for going through all that, Chris. I'm going to touch on pricing very quickly here. Turnkey can answer all your pricing questions as well. There will be some updates coming in 2021 for pricing, but right now Popdock is priced as a monthly SaaS-based license. So here you can see all the different pricing that we have. It works a little bit differently than some other applications, and it's actually currently our only eOne product that has a user-based cost. So all Popdock users have a cost of $19 per user per month. And then we have different plans. So starting in the standard plan, we have a $59 flat rate monthly plan, which gives you access to the different features that you see listed there below. You get one application widget in standard. In professional, you get unlimited, and then there's more features like scheduled exports available in premium. So we try to keep it pretty straightforward. We will have a few updates coming in 2021 as well, because believe it or not, we are nearing the end of 2020 here. Can't believe that. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. This is available on our website, or Turnkey can answer all those questions for you as well regarding licensing and which tier may be the best one for you. So here, just my contact information. If you have questions after this, we can schedule a personal demo with you and your team to talk about your specific use case, or set you up with a 30-day free trial to start testing out Popdock in your organization. Make some connections, make some widgets, and see how it would work for your users. I'm sure once they start using it, they're going to love it and want to put those widgets everywhere. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and thanks for attending today.